astronauts, welcome to the Digital Galaxy Podcast. I'm your pilot, Justin.
And I'm your co pilot, Paul. Buckle up because today in episode 16, we're doing things a little differently. We're discussing the Netflix original documentary, The Social Dilemma. The information in this episode comes from Medium.com, the socialdilemma.com, and Netflix. So, Justin, you watched The Social Dilemma. What did you think about it?
Uh, I honestly lost for words. It was extremely informative. Just overall, a great documentary. And honestly, Netflix documentaries have been killing it recently, and I
I
am
have been.
addicted to them. And this was just the icing on the cake. It was perfect. I loved it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought it was a pretty cool format too, where it was like half like cinematic
Yeah,
kind of kind of showing like what can happen, with isolation or social media dependence and all that stuff. So I thought that was, pretty cool. But we're gonna talk about a few of the major takeaways that we've kind of gotten from that documentary in the podcast today. So I guess the first one um that really struck me was that humans, we us, the people using Facebook are the product that's being sold on social media for profit.
yeah.
Uh,
They really push the point that we are not the customers. That advertisers really are the customers.
yeah, because Facebook makes money or whatever social media, but Facebook most importantly makes money on what you're viewing. How often you view something and what your interests are, and they sell that advertising space in a very personalized manner to some of those companies.
Yeah, and I mean it can get a little freaky if you start looking deep into it, especially with how they showed kind of the idea of having people inside your phone controlling,
Yeah.
what advertisements you see, how they can get you back on your phone to keep you there. And it was a little goofy, but it made perfect sense.
Yeah, I thought it was it was funny in like a kind of cool way, but it was also super disturbing in
Yeah,
another way
no,
too,
seriously.
where like especially that part when he puts his phone away because he wants to get a new one, whatever, and basically the brain or whatever in social media was trying to get him back on, and just notifications and everything like that just keep popping up, and I was like, man, like I instantly like turned off like almost all notifications. I think I even uninstalled the Facebook app off my phone after watching it.
Yeah, I was never really a big Facebook guy, but
Hmm.
I just the social media we used when I was in high school was really Instagram for the longest time, and then when
Yeah,
I moved here to Virginia, everybody used Twitter, so I started using
right.
Twitter a lot more.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean,
being an older gentleman, Facebook was I'm an OG Facebook guy, if you will. So, but yeah, I mean, like it doesn't matter which one you're using. They're all kind of
yeah, the
doing
same
the
tactics
same
are
thing.
employed.
Yeah. What was like the a memorable quote from, I guess, that portion of it, if you will, is if you're not paying for the product, then you are the product. And
Yep.
yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool quote, if
Oh
you
yeah,
will.
there's a lot of quotes in the show that really just stuck out and make you really think.
Absolutely.
But so our second point we're going to bring up is the impacts of AI, artificial intelligence, the
Hmm.
algorithms, everything like that.
Yeah.
So the algorithms of Facebook advertising are intended to keep your eyes on the app, which is measured to see what you keep viewing.
Hmm.
Then they suggest content with ads sprinkled in. We have explained how this process works in episode 2 if you want to check that out. But um, yeah, it's an interesting way that they do business. Like they said a lot in the show, it was just the business plan.
Yeah, and even like we kind of mentioned off the podcast, if you will, that it wasn't their intention to kind of make your Facebook feed addictive with these algorithms,
Yeah,
but it kind of using the AI, it kind of transformed in that kind of way, and that's
just start
a little
sucking you in.
yeah, for sure. It's literally made to keep you looking at the platform.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
and to maximize profits for that company. So
definitely. So the memorable quote that I got out of this one that probably impacted me the most after
Hmm.
reading it was, quote, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, end quote. And if you think about that, it's honestly true.
Yeah, I mean, we're amazed by how things work, but we never really dig down and kind of see why they work or how they
Yeah,
work. Especially when it comes to stuff on the internet. I mean, there's so many amazing things that you can do on there, and it's literally at the tips or at your fingertips, and we don't really like dig into kind of why or how that's happening.
exactly. I actually saw earlier today, Amazon, released a few new products today, and um, one of the products is a new version of the Echo, and
Mhm.
they're saying that the Echo can pick up more noises within your house, be it a dog barking, maybe a baby crying. So the
Oh,
baby
wonderful.
crying one, uh, the news I was watching, they said that you got to think about, do you want to take convenience or privacy? And
True.
that's really something you got to think about these days, which can be scary.
No, that I mean that's kind of always been the case for I guess technology or anything internet related. I mean, if it's easier and it's free, there's some sort of payoff or some cost to you in general.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's kind of I don't know if I like that they can pick up on dog and baby sounds, but I mean
Yeah.
they're listening regardless, so
Yeah.
that'll happen. The third kind of key takeaway that we got through this documentary was kind of the real life impact of polarization of Facebook users and just social media users in general. In the movie, they kind of they discuss like Pizzagate, global warming, and even how social media was kind of used to um, as a genocidal like uh, tool almost
Yeah, that blew my
in
mind.
Myanmar. Yeah, and even just stuff that's happening here, just like the rate of suicides going up in younger or teenage girls.
Just how
Um,
exponential that growth has been too, since
yeah,
they said 2011 was basically the big spike, which makes
hmm
sense. That's when social media started popping off. I
yeah.
I was in middle school back
Smartphones were more
then.
and more. Yeah,
Yep.
and yeah, it's super sad in that sense how it's just such a great technology can be used in such
Yeah.
awful ways.
I've seen firsthand people have their ups and downs, and you can just see how certain things are affected by social
Hmm.
media. And one thing I remember, I don't think it was a direct quote from the series or the show, sorry.
Hmm.
But they said something like, dang, I actually forgot the quote. I had it in my head, but I forgot it. But I'll probably come back up with it in a minute.
how,
Uh,
how about this one? There are only two industries that call their customers users: illegal drugs and software.
yeah, that was a crazy realization right there, because that's absolutely true. I had
Hmm.
never thought about it on that low of a level, but that's true.
Yeah, I mean, our phones are super addictive. We have a habit of just checking them constantly, rather, but regardless if we know that we're doing it or not, it's just part of our body now, and it's I don't know, it's gonna be hard to disconnect for sure. But yeah, I mean, um, some of the tell us some of the provoking questions that we kind of found in this Medium article, Justin.
So Jeff Seibert, the author of the Medium.com article,
Hmm.
quote, the mechanics and psychology behind the social dilemma, provides some thought provoking questions.
Hmm.
Number one, should there be limits to the amount and types of data about an individual that can be collected and stored in a consumer product?
That I would hope that there would be a limit because I mean, even if you just look at like demographical information, how old you are, your gender, usually your political, leanings or whatever, that's all documented. And that can get pretty specific, that's pretty detailed information. But if it goes even further than that, like, I don't know if that should be collected, especially for advertising.
Yeah.
purposes.
We can definitely get into how that can sway things, but the second question that
Hmm.
would provoke questions would be, should there be limits on the maximum number of ads that can be shown to an individual, both in a given session and in a given time interval, whichever lasts longer? We must restore everyone's control over their own time.
Yeah, that's a super interesting question because I mean, their model right now is to put as much advertising or like get your eyes on the product as long as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess if there was a limit to, let's say you're scrolling for 1 minute and you'd say maybe 3 ads, I think that'd be, I guess, reasonable, but again, probably less profitable. So I don't know if the companies themselves would be in favor of something like that.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Definitely up in the air.
Hmm.
But the third one is, should personalized advertising even be legal at all? When driving down the highway, we see the same billboards and we have a shared conversation about them, yet nobody
Hmm.
knows what anyone else sees online. How can you possibly empathize?
Right. And that's like the whole polarizing thing. Like, um, so stuff that I see on my feed is completely different from anyone else's feeds. And if there's no like crossover, you can see how people can get so divided.
Yeah, I believe there was something said in the beginning of the documentary, saying like, truth is almost up in the air these days because everybody gets different versions of what they want to be the truth.
That's true.
So at this point, it's my facts versus your facts. Whose facts are right?
Hmm.
There's no in between anymore. There's no right answer. You follow the people that make your argument look right. Like,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. You follow the people that tell you that your beliefs are right. And
Yeah, and you fall more and more into that because you constantly see the same stuff popping up on your feed. Like you don't
exactly,
see a differing opinion.
exactly. Yep.
Mm.
And that kind of intellectual conversation of having different opinions is beneficial, but people seem to forget that these days.
Right. Yeah.
But you never know. I
Yes.
but
So go ahead. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Continue.
Okay, I was just gonna say, what do you think we can do that could, I guess, make a difference in this whole thing?
Well, if you visit thesocialdilemma.com/take action, they have
Hmm.
toolkits, ways to
Oh.
start conversations and tips to get you unhooked from social media. I've actually looked into it myself.
Hmm.
It's something that I think needs to be done, at least on my part. Which I don't spend a whole lot of time on social media, but I definitely do see it. I see how it has taken a toll on my life in the past when I did
Hmm.
depend on social media, especially in high school and middle school when I was younger. And as kids are growing up these days, I can see how it's impacting their lives. I see it all the
Oh my
time.
God, for sure. Yeah, because even at the end of the movie, they were talking about just s- quick tips on how to help, like even just like those guys, those people that created those algorithms and those platforms, they themselves don't let their children use
Yeah,
those platforms. That was
that's
like the most shocking thing I thought
yeah,
at the end.
literally. And
Um, yeah, becoming a father soon myself, I'm like, I'm for sure not gonna let her have a cell phone until she's 16 or
yeah, and
beyond
it's
whatever. But it's like I don't know.
but then it adds into the bullying factor because, like, oh, if you don't get your child an
Hmm.
iPhone in fifth grade or whatever, the kids are gonna make fun of them. Like, I
Right.
saw this in school all the time, and then the kid comes home crying, oh, kids are making fun of me. Then bam, parents cave in. Then they get an iPhone,
Hmm.
and the process starts.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not knocking, getting a phone at a young age. There's reasons why kids should have phones, but there's
Hmm.
definitely reasons why they should be, categorized a little bit. Because I mean, when I was in fifth grade, when I got my first phone, it was a flip phone. Like, it was just to contact the parents, and that was all. And
Right.
later on, I got my iPhone in middle school, but
Hmm.
even then, I had restrictions. And
For sure.
to this day, I don't think they were too far fetched by my parents.
Right. Right. I don't want to age myself, but my first phone was senior in high school. It was still a flip phone though, so it's
Yeah.
still. But yeah. Yes, I mean it's yeah, I mean if you want to, I would definitely check out the website. There's a lot of different organizations that provide these toolkits for free and kind of provide great questions that you can discuss with your family, friends, and coworkers even.
Absolutely. This whole documentary was actually recommended to me by my boss, and it was
Oh, wow. Yeah,
just amazing. I loved it,
yeah,
every second of it. But
same.
I think that about wraps it up for this episode.
Mhm.
We went on a little long for this one, but a lot
Yeah,
of great information in this
for
episode.
sure.
Don't forget to follow our channels on Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and iTunes. You can also find this episode in the written form on our website, digitalgalaxypodcast.com. This episode was created by Fora Social, a social media app where you are in charge of your data and community. Check it out at forasocial.com. Thanks for coming on our journey, and we'll see you guys in the next one.